Hello, this is RICKY, and I am bringing you a review of the WWDC event that just happened today. So, what happened, guys? Alright, well, let's start off with iOS 7, because that's what everyone really wants to see, and see this revolutionary new thing. And, unfortunately, Apple didn't bring anything new, really, to the table. So, this is a full recap of iOS 7. First, I'm going to give you the short version, and then go a little bit more into detail. First, the apps look different. Seriously, guys, they spent like 15 minutes talking about how the apps look different and how they use a different color palette and all this kind of stuff. So the apps look different. That's very important for this. They have a control center, which does seem, unfortunately, like a little bit of a knockoff of the notification panel on Android. Namely, for the TouchWiz interface one, because it's the one that it looks most similar to. Basically, you can now turn a few things on and off. Those things are limited to airplane mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, do not disturb, and lock screen orientation. You also can toggle the brightness, play your music or pause it, forward or rewind, control the sound volume, have AirPlay and Air... what was the other thing? Oh, AirDrop, which we'll go into a little bit. And 4 basic apps: flashlight, alarms, calculator, and camera. So you have these things. Really, I would like if you could customize this, but it looks like this will be the default and only settings that you can change. Now for AirDrop, this is basically a new way to share things. You can share with basically anyone that is close to you, but you have to be their friend, or if you're not their friend, then you can make it search for everyone and then share through that. Now, they didn't make it clear exactly what technology this uses, so although it sounds like it would be Wi-Fi Direct, Apple doesn't have Wi-Fi Direct on their current devices, but of course this could be found on the next gen devices. So maybe the other ones will have Wi-Fi Direct, and then you'll be able to use this through there, because if this works through Bluetooth, that's going to be a very slow process. So we'll see how this works. For the camera, it kind of looks similar to Android camera. It even has the halo look, where you have a line over the words and you kind of swipe to go to the next sections. So these next sections are photo, then you can swipe over to do video. You can swipe over to do a section called square, which is essentially 9 filters that you can put in place. And then you can finally do panorama. So that is the new camera function, which, I mean, at least you finally have filters. This has been something long awaited for iOS that just built in to have some filters on it. Moments. This is a new way to organize your photos that no one really asked for, but, you know, you have it anyway. It's mainly promoting the iCloud sharing tool, which not many people very likely use. I actually don't know anyone that has iOS and uses the iCloud sharing. They just generally, you know, either email it or use Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. I mean, any way else to share photos and other things that they have. But Moments essentially divides your photos into location and to time and date. So that is how Moments does, similar to the way HTC kind of brackets their photos. Siri can now sound like a man, and it's a very creepy man, mind you, but it's a man. Also, it has a new car mode, which has some basic functions I'll go over in a little bit. And the biggest difference of Siri, it now uses Bing. Seriously, guys, you cannot use Google anymore. Siri now uses Bing, and that's about it. Well, you know, last time they went away from Google, worked out fine. I mean, everyone uses Apple Maps. So, lastly, iTunes Radio. This is the big thing that everyone was kind of waiting for. iTunes' new subscription service for music to combat, you know, Spotify and Google Music All Access, and it didn't work out that way. So what iTunes Radio really is, it's more similar to Pandora, meaning you can play music and also listen to a station of an artist but you can't save it offline, you can't add it to your own personal music, and you can't access any of it offline, actually, in fact. There's no subscription to it. It is free, but of course you don't have ownership of the song in any way, shape, or form. You literally can only play it online, kind of like a sample, but you actually get the full song. So it's, again, more similar to Pandora than anything else, I would say. Unfortunately, you cannot, again, make it part of your own library. It has to have internet to work. Alright, now a bit more in-depth into this. The lock screen, you do now have a swipe to unlock going up. So I was really surprised by this because Apple spent years about slide to unlock being sideways and no one else could copy them on that. And then they went ahead and copied other manufacturers like HTC and other ones that have always had the swipe up feature. The other thing that they added was a left edge swipe that can either bring up a menu or they could bring up back. It depends on the app, actually. Like on Mail, it'll bring up the menu, side menu, and on other apps, it'll bring up a back button. So I found this kind of interesting that it's kind of confusing in that aspect. The other things that it had, of course, was to bring up the control center. You actually do it from swiping upward. So if you swipe up from the bottom, you will actually bring up the control center. And if you swipe down from the bottom, even on the lock screen now, you can actually view your command center, or whatever they called that thing. It was notification center or something that's trying to copy Android. I forget what it's called. But yeah, so you have that. And the other thing you have is the double tap to see all of your apps now has a card grid. Again, this one is, I would say, closer to WebOS or even Windows in the way it's displayed. And then, of course, you can swipe up to get rid of the app. Alright, and last, or let me see. Yeah, that's going to be the most part. For the iOS car feature, you have access to phone, music, Apple Maps. Why not Google Maps? I don't know, but it was Apple Maps. Messaging, volume, power, and home. The App Store now lets you find popular apps by your area, which I don't know how that's more useful than just like, popular apps that your friends like better. I would say that's a much better feature. And apparently, Apple's never been able to update their apps automatically. I would assume this was done long ago, but now you can. So now you can update your apps automatically. You don't have to kind of wait around for that. And then finally, for the iTunes Music, it will be free, but it has ads. Or if you have an iTunes Match subscription, it is ad-free. If not, good luck with all those ads. And that was iOS 7. As for everything else that was announced, well, let me give you a brief rundown. OS X is now called Mavericks because that's the coolest thing to call your OS after you run out of lions and cats and cheetahs and zebras and all the other cat animals, and just a zebra is a cat. So you have Finder tabs. It basically means your folders can now have tabs. You have tags, which, if for some reason your description isn't good enough and your entire text in your document isn't good enough, you can tag it as well now. Also, you have multiple displays. Yes, they were actually bragging about doing multiple displays. Kind of like you could do with DLNA a long time ago on PCs and mirror it. You can now do that with Apple TV while doing a dual screen. So this, of course, is on the new Mac Pro, which now has Thunderbolt 2, which no one cares about because no one really used Thunderbolt 1. You have a dual-core GPU, which is cool, and it's a lot smaller than the original. It's kind of like a mini PC, but it's very compacted with high-end specs. That is pretty cool. However, that probably means you're not going to really be able to upgrade it, which kind of defeats the purpose of a Mac Pro. iCloud now has iWork, so it's kind of like Google Docs, but not as good. And you have Safari, which has iCloud Keychain, which syncs up like Chrome has been doing for a while now. Maps from Apple Maps, which no one uses. calendar, which not many people use, and iBooks, which some people do use. And then your MacBook Air now has a battery life of 9 hours for the 11-inch and 12 hours for the 13-inch. A lot of people said if that's true, that's going to be pretty good. If it's not, which a lot of people are skeptical of that, we'll see. So yeah, guys, that was the brief layout of WWDC. If you guys had any other questions, feel free to ask. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.